I have a bunch of tips and tricks for you in this video, from Control Center all the way down to the Files app. So let's get right into it. First, let's start with the home screen. If you have a 2018 iPad Pro or any of the M series iPads, then you can benefit from an option that increases the resolution on your iPad. To change this setting, go to Settings, Display and Brightness, Display Zoom, and choose More Space. This is a great feature and gives a lot more space for you to work with, especially while multitasking. But we will get into that a little bit later. Have you ever set up your home screen only for it to change everything around when you change the orientation? That is because the iPad allows you to set up your home screen for both landscape and vertical orientation. Once set up and everything is in its place for both, you will notice that they will snap to where you left them. Another great tip is for the dock at the bottom of the screen. You can turn off the option to show recent apps, as it does take a fair amount of space. To do this, go to Settings, Home Screen and Multitasking, and unselect Show Suggested and Recent Apps in the dock. You can also choose whether or not you want to show the app library on the dock as well. Spotlight has to be one of the most underutilized functions on the iPad. To start, either pull down on the home screen or hold Command plus Spacebar to bring up the search bar. Unfortunately, without a keyboard, Spotlight cannot be launched within an app. But once open, you can search for apps, which you can then open and start a side-by-side split view. You can start a web search, which is much faster than opening your browser and going to your search engine and then typing what you want. You can search for pictures or just use keywords like names, things like bikes, dogs, and Spotlight will give you pictures with those objects in the pictures. You can search for weather if you are traveling and don't have the location added to your weather app. You can search notes, emails from the Mail app, or even run shortcuts from the Shortcuts app. Spotlight can also make calculations, conversions, or even set alarms for when the chicken should be done. Control Center is like a quick toggle menu for the iPad. To activate, you can either drag your finger from the top right corner or press Globe C on your keyboard. If you don't have a globe on your keyboard, try the Function key or FN button. Here we can make quick changes to Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and cellular if you have it, or enable airplane mode. We can also adjust volume and brightness. As well, we can press and hold to enable even more features. Control Center also has focus mode select, or orientation locks for times when you do not want the screen adjusting to how you are holding it, and screen mirroring for when you want to share your display with others on an AirPlay supported device like an Apple TV. But probably the most powerful feature inside of Control Center is AirPlay controls. Here is where you can adjust where your media plays, whether you want to connect to your AirPods, HomePod, or even control the Apple TV all from your iPad. Control Center can be customized by going to the Settings menu and choosing Control Center. Here you can select or deselect what you would want to show inside of Control Center. Some key features to enable are Apple Home if you have it, timers, alarms, and screen recordings. Multitasking requires a little bit of an explanation, as there are two ways to multitask on an iPad. First is split view. This works with any recent iPad, no matter which version. When you have an app open full screen, you can either open Spotlight, type in the name of the app, and drag it to the side that you want it to open on. When the full-size app moves, that's when you know it is going to open in split view. Once you have the two apps open in split view, you can drag the handles to adjust the size of both apps. With split view, you can only have a maximum of two apps on the screen at once. But with slide over, you can add a third. This is great for music, podcasts, or even Twitter, also known as X, and allows for quick glances at what song is playing or what's new in the last couple of hours. To open an app in slide over, simply hold on the app and drag it to the middle of the screen. If you take it to either side of the edge of the current app open, this will open in split view. But do note, you do need an app open to be able to open in slide over view, as it won't launch just on the home screen. With slide over, you can slide in and out when you want it, or even switch sides if you need to. To hide, simply swipe up like you would on the iPhone, or swipe over on the top of the app. To bring the app back, swipe in from the side of the iPad. To switch apps, you swipe and hold and then choose which app you want on the front, or swipe up to close the app entirely. Stage Manager is the newer form of multitasking on iPad, but is limited to Apple's M line of processors. So the 3rd through 6th gen of iPad Pros and the M1 version of the iPad Air. Stage Manager is disabled by default. To enable, go into Control Center and select the icon for Stage Manager. Stage Manager allows you to have up to 4 windows open at one time, but are limited to set sizes and placements for each window. To start, open an app to what is called a stage. To open a new stage, simply tap on another app and it will open on its own stage. To open an app on the same stage, hold and drag and drop it over the current app. You can then size your windows with the handle at the bottom right of the window, with either your finger or a trackpad. I will be doing a full Stage Manager revisit once iPad OS 17 launches in September, so be sure to be subscribed for that video. No matter which method you use, the app switcher is launched the same way, by either swiping up and holding for a second, and all the current apps will be displayed, or by swiping 3 fingers up and hold on a trackpad. External monitor support has finally unlocked the potential of the iPad, but again, limited to only the 5th and 6th gen iPad Pros and the M1 iPad Air. While plugged into an external monitor, Stage Manager is enabled by default. There is no way around it. As well, you need to have an external keyboard, mouse, or trackpad attached. I do really enjoy the ability to use an external monitor with the iPad, and I have made an entire separate video on that, and I will link it at the end of this video as well in the comments. The Apple Pencil is an extension of the iPad. It should be on a must-have list for anyone with a capable iPad. It does not have to be the actual Apple Pencil. There are cheaper alternatives out there. I will leave a couple options in the description if you happen to be looking for one. But for someone who cannot draw, the pencil is more of a utility tool as well as an input tool. With the Apple Pencil, tapping on the lock screen will open a fresh note. Simply jot down what you want, lock it, and that note will be saved in your quick note sections in Apple Note. More on this later. Another great feature of the Apple Pencil is Scribble. This will convert handwritten text to typed text as you write it. And if you make a mistake, then simply scratch it out and the iPad will remove it. When not using Scribble, and if you have a 2nd generation Apple Pencil, then double tapping on the flat edge will switch to the eraser. Clean up your mistake, double tap again to start writing again. You can change what happens with the double tap in the settings. You can switch to last tool used, show the color palette, or show ink attributes, or just completely turn it off. Other great shortcuts with the Apple Pencil are swiping in from the bottom corners to take either a different quick note that is separate from the lock screen, or take a quick screenshot of either the screen or full page. This allows you to mark it up and share it with a friend or a colleague. With the Quick Note feature, you are able to create multiple notes inside this folder, and you can swipe through them using this method. Something that I have discovered is that in the settings of the Note app, you can set this feature to run a few different ways. To open a new note each time you tap the screen with the pencil, or you can have it resume the same note for a few minutes, a day, or just keep on going. This has replaced a pen and paper for me, and now I have my to-do list digitalized and always backed up. No need to worry about losing that piece of paper when I need to remember to do something the next day. Any and all types of keyboards can work with iPad OS. Wireless keyboards, Bluetooth keyboards, wire keyboards all work. If you do use a different keyboard without some of the iPad's necessary keys, then you can remap them in the settings. Certain keys like the globe or escape key. Myself, on my mechanical keyboard, I remapped the caps lock key to be the globe key, as so many keyboard shortcuts require the globe key on iPad. Some of my favorites are Command H to go back to the home screen, Command Spacebar to show the search field, Command Tab, switch to the next most recent app among your open apps, Command Shift 3 takes a screenshot. Command-Shift-4 takes a screenshot and immediately opens Markup to view or edit the screenshot. If you happen to use a trackpad with your iPad, then there are a few shortcuts you can take advantage of, such as 3 fingers swipe up for the multitasking menu, 3 fingers swipe left to open previous apps, and 3 fingers swipe right to go back through those apps. You can also go into settings and change how scrolling works. By default, the iPad enables light touch scrolling with the trackpad, but you can change it if you do not like it. In the settings menu under General and Trackpad, you will want to disable natural scrolling. The Files app is getting better and better each year, and getting very close to Finder on the Mac. On the iPad, Files supports multi-selection shortcuts, whether it is holding Control and selecting multiple files, or even highlighting a file, holding Shift, then clicking on another file, which will highlight all of the files in between. You can then go back and hold Control and choose the files to deselect. You can also choose a file and press spacebar, and it will give you the same preview window as found in macOS. But one downside of the Files app is with external drive support. iPads do support a fat formatted hard drive, but with file size limitations, using a properly formatted APFS drive is much better. But you need a Mac to format the drive, as there is no way to format a drive in iPadOS, and Windows computers cannot format any drive to APFS. So there it is. Those are my tips and tricks for the iPad. Hopefully you picked up a new one. If you have any good tips or tricks, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and maybe it will make it in the next video. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in next week's video.